Well, hi, and thanks for watching. I'm joined by Stella Watts, who is the founder of What's Next Group, and certainly someone who's been a long-term part of the Queensland Leaders community. Now, I appreciate you are giving up your evening in the US to join us, so thank you for doing that. It's definitely appreciated. I might just start. There's been a lot of questions posed, I guess, in the last few days about flexible work needs and people working from home and engagement and all those sorts of things. So perhaps if you just want to share some comments there first.
Yes, and it's an absolute pleasure to talk to the members of Queensland Leaders as always. It's a very, very challenging time at the moment for small businesses. And really, yes, the first thing that people seem to be dealing with is removing or moving their workforce to working at home. And if you haven't done that before, that can be quite challenging. It's not just a matter of people working from home and still getting their job done. One of the things that I've been advising our clients to really think about is the impact that this has on not just productivity and communication, but also on someone's mental health, because remembering that many people are struggling with mental health in our world today, and going to the workplace and being part of the community is a big part of that for many people. So suddenly being in a situation where they may be isolated and not being able to leave home, or just not being able to be in their normal routine, can be much more damaging than what we realise. So one of the things that I'm saying is that we need to keep our communication up for workflow, but also for people's own mental health. So what I'm recommending to clients is that they at least check in with their team members every day. So in our business, we're doing Zoom calls twice a day, at the beginning, at the end of the day. But if your business doesn't really require that, at least a text message, and ideally a video call every couple of days. And those text messages with individuals. So thinking about not just keep business as usual or trying to keep work done, but also to support people, because everyone is feeling very uncertain. You don't know what's going on in their home world, so we have to be really aware of that. The other thing I would say about that is we've recently put out a blog, and I believe that we're going to be sharing that with your members around tips to give employees on how to work from home. Things like getting up at the same time, getting dressed, cleaning their home so that they're not sitting at work and seeing the big pile of washing, making sure they're getting outside. Those sorts of things, are sort of those routine things that we do all the time, go out the window when we're working from home. So providing that support as much as we can is really important, and those resources are available to the members.
Perfect, and we'll definitely share that as a part of this this conversation. I guess just on that thing, obviously if someone is in a situation where, say, that it's more of a manufacturing style business, it's not appropriate for people to work from home, but they do have to shut the office for 2 weeks or something, should they still be checking in with those staff on a regular basis, or what would you recommend?
I absolutely would be checking in with all staff, regardless of what your workplace situation is. We all need support at the moment, and our workplaces is our constant in a lot of situations. So if you can, I would be trying to keep in contact with everyone, all your employees, as much as it is appropriate and suits your business. But yes, I would be recommending that. We need connection and communication at this time more than ever.
Okay. I guess on the other side of the conversation then is obviously there are going to be businesses that are getting themselves into various levels of strife over the months ahead, and obviously governments are rolling out different support programs and packages, and we're learning more about that by the day at the moment, so it seems. But I guess, the first thing that people always think about is, oh, well, do we just make staff redundant or something like that? But there are alternatives, so perhaps if you can just share your thoughts around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm surrounded by businesses that are probably not going to make it, but I do like to think that most of us can get through this, hopefully. We are going to come out the other end, and we do want and hope that we will need our people again. So I understand that many businesses, redundancy may be the only option, but I would really look at it as a last resort at the moment. This is the perfect time to actually talk to your employees and put forward different options. So don't assume that if you can potentially you might be able to offer your employees part-time work. So a full-time person might be more than happy to go to 3 days a week. A full-time person might be more than happy to reduce their salary so that they can keep their job at the moment, especially now when it's very difficult to get work anywhere. So rather than immediately thinking that that's the only option and that someone wouldn't consider anything else than what they already have. Have a conversation. We all understand what's going on. What could you do to keep your people with you throughout this time, and then hopefully get them back to what their normal role is and their normal salary and days once we're through this. So be creative with that and have a conversation. I think don't make an assumption that redundancy or keeping them as they are is the only option.
No, look, that's very sound advice, and I know that both yourself and the team are more than happy to, if there's anyone that does need support or a few ideas, more than happy to work that through. The other thing that's probably going to be of keen interest, I think, given that you are sitting in the US at the moment, is your observations. What's actually going on? Yeah,
look, I'm in New York City, so we've got 7 million people in a very small space. We have had our schools closed down, so no children are at school, and we have 114,000 homeless children just in this city alone, and many families rely on schools for food and security, and safety, which I had no idea about, which I found very hard to handle. But we've got so that's happening. We are every day hearing from the mayor as to whether they shut down the city. At the moment, all the restaurants, bars, gyms, everything's closed. So I'm walking the streets and seeing so many businesses hanging on by a thread. But this is a disease or a virus that's spreading from human contact. So keeping people inside is critical, especially in such a dense area. I think that quick action is the key with these sorts of things. And, to be honest, Stephen, being right in the middle of this right now in this city is just an incredible experience to not only observe, but be a part of and looking at what businesses are talking about. So in my business networks and entrepreneurial networks, obviously we've got businesses talking about how do I get through this, what's going to happen if I can't get through this. But there's so much discussion around opportunity and innovation and creativity. And I'm really excited to see businesses be able to pivot really quickly to service their customers in a completely different way to what they would have previously. The fitness industry is a really good example of that, with all the gyms closed and everyone moving their personal training onto online and filming those sorts of things. Really interesting. The restaurants here getting straight into delivery and takeaway. So it's very interesting. I'm sort of seeing two areas or two different ends of the spectrum. People are either paralysed by it and sort of thinking, I don't know what to do, I'm sort of stopped, or they are seeing opportunities and it's giving them the inspiration to say, right, we need to do something different. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what business looks like after this, and also what we look like. What do we buy? What don't we buy? How do we live after this situation? Because I certainly already think, I probably won't go back to doing that, or I probably won't go back to spending money on those things. So that, I think it's going to be a really interesting change for everyone, and business in particular.
100% agree with you. There's going to be some absolutely fascinating changes that do come out of this over the next sort of 5 to 10 years. And it's also amazing to think that 50 years from now, the kids at school, they won't be learning about Great Depressions or anything else. They'll be learning about the year 2020, and that's pretty extraordinary stuff. So I guess, look, just in finishing up, and again, really appreciate your time this evening, but just did you have any closing remarks or comments that you wanted to leave?
Yeah, look, I think there's two things that I would be saying to business owners. One is absolutely make changes to your business now to keep it going and to get through this. But remember that we are going to get through it. And so changing a business completely is not necessarily the best thing to do, because after this, if you move your business all online or all virtual, after this, we're all going to want to be together. We're all going to want to be at Queensland Leaders in that room, connecting and handshaking. So but remember, we will get back to that human connection. And the other thing that I'm relying on at the moment, because at the moment I'm running businesses around the world, some are struggling more than others. There's an enormous amount of strain. The Aussie dollar is not good at all, which impacts me. And also my kids are home from school as well. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of pressure. And my focus right now is being really positive. So I'm just focusing on what's great, what I'm grateful for, things like Zoom and how easily we can connect, and also keeping in action, exercising and doing business every day, just action, action, action. And so that would be my advice: keep in action, stay positive, and be so grateful for the things that we do have.
Well, that's it. Even in the darkest moments, the sun still comes up the next day, doesn't it? So there's always a window of opportunity somewhere. Look, Sel, I really appreciate you joining us, and you know, we'll obviously keep touch, and I have no doubt we'll be talking again in the very short term as well.
Awesome, thanks, and good luck to everyone.
Thanks very much.